"Do you know that your dog can talk?" The kid at the park said, "Do you know that your dog can talk?" I laughed and agreed with him because I didn't want to break his spirit, but I'm not laughing anymore. It started normal. My dog was loyal, playful. He'd run to me every time I got home. But after that day at the park, everything changed. A little kid came up to me and said, "Do you know your dog can talk?" I joked, "Yeah? What's he say?" The kid stared at me and whispered, "He's scared you'll find out." I was sitting at the bench looking at my dog playing with the other dogs as the kid told me this. But when I looked at him back, it's almost like he was listening to us. He stopped doing what he was doing and just stared at me. When we got home, I noticed that he started acting strange. He didn't eat that night, just laid down and stared at me. That night, I heard something crash in the kitchen. I got up, grabbed the knife from beside my bed, and found my dog just standing there in the dark, watching. I took him to the vet, full checkup. Nothing was wrong, but something was very wrong. He just kept staring and distancing himself from me. I googled why, and people said that it's a thing that they do when they think they are going to die. They distance themselves from the owner. Then one night, my front door slammed shut in the middle of the night. I jumped up, knife in hand, and called for my dog for backup since he's a German Shepherd. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. I wanted to turn around and fight whatever was behind me, but I was too scared. But then I heard it, a deep voice say, "You asked if I could talk. I can do way more than that." When I turned, he ran, full speed, straight out the door. I slammed it shut just in time. But then, he spoke again, from the other side. "I know everything about you. You're not safe from me." I guess he tried to mock me or scare me. He started kicking the door and slamming his body on the door, trying to knock it down. I don't know where all that strength came from because the door was shaking. He was laughing, howling, and he kept saying, "I'll come back." I stood there all night, hand on the door, frozen. By morning, all that was left was fur and chew marks. But now, some nights, I still hear him, across the street laughing and howling, and even hear his footsteps outside my room. I still find his fur around the house. Even though I clean it, I know it was my old friend.
Hi, honey. Come in, come in. You know why we called you in here, right? Yeah. You know, we've just been receiving a couple of concerning reports, and we just want to make sure you're okay. So tell us about your home life. Do you want to kill yourself? Okay, since you are in here, we're gonna have to call your parents. I know you haven't even said anything yet, but gotta call them. Oh, you don't like your classes? Oh, I'm sorry, honey. We can't do anything about that. This girl's been bullying you? You know we don't tolerate bullying. She doesn't do that. She's just having a hard life at home. Now I'm gonna send your mom a list of people to call, okay? We're gonna send you to the fucking loony bin. Your mental health is none of my business? That's my job, sweetie. That's my job. Tell me. We also got some reports that you've been making some jokes about this student. Do you know them? Do you know them? You don't? Well, we can call them into the office right now and be sure.
This is probably the scariest story I've ever read. If you're new here, hi. I usually talk about some pretty scary stuff, and recently I went an email where anyone who finds this page could send me their ghost stories. And let me tell you, I have not only been getting a lot of emails, I genuinely did not think that these were going to be as scary as they are. And just a little PSA, these stories are so scary that I've had to start reading them during the day. And this story is one of the reasons why. So let's get into it. This story comes from someone who would like to remain anonymous, and for obvious reasons, I'm going to respect that. So before we get into it, everyone in this story is ranged from 14 to like 17. And this happened a few months ago. So every other month, the person who sent me this email and his family go and travel 5 hours across country to go see his cousins on his dad's side. In this particular time, they decided to watch paranormal movies when they arrived. And after the movie was over, him, his cousins, and his brothers decided to make a DIY Ouija board. They took this board upstairs to like the main floor and started asking questions. Specifically, how many of us are in this room? And it answered correctly. They continued to ask pretty simple questions, and every single question was answered correctly. Then they asked, "Are you?" And I'm not going to say the name of this thing because it freaks me out. But they ask, "Are you?" And the planchette stopped. Then suddenly, their uncle burst through the front door and they slide the board underneath the coffee table and did not say goodbye. So the person who sent me this email, his two brothers sleep upstairs for the night, while him and his cousin sleep downstairs. And the next morning, his brothers rush downstairs and start claiming that they were hearing banging coming from the attic the previous night. And when they were questioned what it sounded like, his brothers started banging on the table, and the person who sent me this email said it was so loud we didn't believe them. It also says that they were not allowed to check the attic because their uncle didn't want them to go up there. However, he states that it was like an attic out of the movies where they have a little cord and you pull it down and stairs fall. The next night, the person who sent me this email and his cousins decide to sleep upstairs and the brothers downstairs. So they just flip-flopped to see if they could hear what was going on the previous night. And they did. He woke up at exactly 3 a.m. to the loudest banging coming from the attic. He tried to wake up his cousins, but they were not waking up. He says that once the banging stopped, he had to go to the bathroom, so he got up and went to open the door, but the knob wasn't budging. Almost like someone was on the other side holding the doorknob. And when he was able to open the door a little bit, he noticed something, and that was the hallway light wasn't on. And I guess in this house, the hallway light is always on, so the fact it was off immediately started raising red flags. And I guess you can see the door to the bathroom, and it was just slightly open, and it was just swaying back and forth. And at this point, the person who sent me this got scared and slammed the door shut, at which point it wakes the cousins up in the room. And when he explains what happened to him, they stay up until sunrise. And at the end of the email, he says that whenever he tells people this story, they think he's crazy. And all I gotta say is, I don't think you're crazy because I have had the same experiences. I also made a DIY Ouija board and did not say goodbye. And whatever was in the board was obviously not just secluded in the board, if you know what I mean. And I would hear the craziest things for months after. This is also why I tell people not to play with Ouija boards. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me. Stay tuned for request stories.
Never eat at your bed at nighttime. Too late. It's too late. By the way, whenever I say these titles like never eat at your bed at night, I'm simply translating it because it's the same title in Spanish. Like with the other video where it's like never speak to the dead. It's because that's the title in Spanish and I'm literally translating. There's people who are like, don't tell me what to do. Why the fuck would I come on TikTok and let somebody tell me what to do? Are you serious? Are you okay? Just enjoy the stories. So this story was being told by her own mom. Her mom said that when she was young, she lived in Mexico in this really big ranch. She explains that a lot of paranormal stuff would happen, not just at that ranch, but like with the people, their neighbors around them. And her mom was never a scaredy cat. On the contrast, she loved any paranormal stories or shows and things like that. Her mom shared a bedroom with her two aunts. They had twin beds where the youngest would sleep on the top and the oldest would sleep in the bottom. She says that every time her mom explains this story to her, she explains it like, I love to eat. Girl, same. And because she loved to eat, something happened to her that she is never going to forget. Her mom explains that every time after dinner, she would get a pan dulce with some atole and she would take it to her room to eat while she watched TV. And her grandmother, her mom's mom, would get really bothered by this because she would tell her that the food is only to be consumed at the kitchen or at the dinner table. That if she ate in her room, it would attract rodents or maybe other things. Her mom was very curious, so she would always ask her grandmother, what other things? Like, what are you talking about? And that her grandmother would tell her, well, there's some souls and some demonic things that are attracted by food. That it's also bad for you to leave like dirty dishes in the sink overnight and things like that. Oh my god, everything I do. And she warned her that if she left any food in the side of her bed or anything like that, these demonic things would come looking for it. Thank God I finished everything. She even told her that not only would they try to eat her food, but they would also try to take her soul. So her aunt, her mom's sister, being a very big scaredy cat, would also get really mad when her mom would bring food to the bedroom because she would hear all the things that her mom would tell her and be like, I don't want these things to come, like stop eating in our bedroom. However, her mom and even her grandfather would always be like, oh, those are just dumb things that your grandma says to scare you off. So days would go on and her mom never stopped bringing food into the room. The first time that something strange happened was when she had taken some pistachios into the room at nighttime and she had left some on the plate that she didn't eat. And when they woke up in the morning, the pistachios were all thrown on the floor and opened with the missing seed on the inside. Obviously, when her aunt saw that, she got so mad and they started fighting all morning because of it. After that happened, all the girls that were sleeping in that bedroom thought that they could hear a rat underneath the bed. And obviously, her aunts would blame her mom because she's the only one that that would bring food into their bedroom at night. And of course, her grandmother would tell her mom, it will be your fault if we get mice or like any kind of rodents into the house. However, they had no idea that there would be something worse that would happen. There was one night when one of her aunts got very sick, so the grandparents or their parents took her to go sleep in their bedroom, and they left her mom in the bottom bunk by herself and the younger one on the very top. Because of how much she kept getting into trouble, her mom didn't take anything to eat to the bedroom that night. They all went to bed and started watching TV for a little bit, and they all just fell asleep with the TV still on. It was very late, and the mom says that the light from the TV started to wake her up and bother her. When she opened her eyes, she said that she saw somebody like with a cloak on standing in the bedroom door. However, she was so sleepy that she could hardly like even open her eyes. That was also the moment where she started to hear,
"Give me some food. Give me some food. Where is the food? Give me the food."
was it me at her door? The mom explains the voice as like really strange, very deep, and it almost sounded like it was slobbering as it was asking for food. She was still having a hard time opening her eyes, but she heard it again, that voice telling her, "Give me food. Where's the food?" The mom thought that it was a prank from one of her sisters, so she just tells her, "Shut up and just turn off the TV because I can't fall asleep." The following thing that she felt was like a breath at her feet. That's what immediately caused her to get up, open her eyes, and what she saw at the foot of her bed, she explains like a man, that he was hunched over and he had a cloak on, and when she noticed his eyes, they were entirely black. There had no white area. That's when her mom screamed so loud, and this man went underneath the bed. Oh my god, I'm so scared. The sisters that were on the top bunk woke up and immediately screamed as well. And what they saw was like a dark shadow just running out of their bedroom. The grandparents immediately ran to their room and asked them what was happening, but because all of the girls were crying, none of them could like clearly explain what they had seen. In that moment is when on the porch they heard all of their like dishes that they had cleaned just fall, like making the craziest, loudest sound. So her mom says that the following day she went to her mom, the girl's grandmother, and explained what she had seen. And of course, grandma was like, "I warned you, I told you this would happen." And the aunt, the one that was sick, overheard their conversation. And she told both of them that she had already seen that man, that he was always right next to her mom's bed while she slept, and that was the reason that she would fall asleep with her back facing them. Why did she never say anything? And she had also told the other sisters, and that's why they were all insistent on telling her not to bring food into the bedroom. I would have been convinced by telling me there was a man next to my bed, but also maybe the mom wouldn't have, because she didn't even believe it at all. She explains that because of this story at her house, her grandparents' house, nobody goes to bed unless the dishes are cleaned, and nobody takes food to their bedroom at night. So what do you guys think?
I'm posting this video in case I get killed tonight. So I'm in the middle of nowhere, like literally, and I'm the only person staying in this hotel. It's just me and the guy that owns it, okay? And he was kind of creepy, not to be mean. He was really sweet, just like an older guy, whatever. But, you know, I could see him pulling something. I could see him, you know, it's like giving Bates Motel over here. It really is. I should probably whisper. So a few minutes ago, I heard this at the door. Yeah. And there's no people, so I had to go outside and no one was there. I'm really just not in the mood to get true crimed in the middle of Iceland right now. I just want to go to bed. But if you don't hear from me...
Dark web footage that got leaked.
He has been trapped inside a basement for several days. She would hold a sign that said "Help me" on it to a security camera, hoping for someone to notice her. But no one seemed to help her, so then this happened.
Can we show him the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk about one of the craziest scenes in horror movie history. So this scene comes from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Basically, Buddy goes to like this hospital or whatever, and it's like an empty hospital. Then out of nowhere, they call her the Pale Lady. They actually got a book that tells all the stories, and I used to love these books when I was younger, and she was one of the stories, but they brought her to life. I'm not gonna lie. Just even looking at these pictures, she is nightmare fuel. Do you hear me? It was the fact that he was running through this big hospital with red lights with this woman chasing him, and she wasn't even running. She's walking super slow. But the thing was that every corner he turned, she was getting closer and closer and closer. He could not run away, bruh. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. This right here, when I first seen this, I still think about this scene sometimes. This is actually creepy, bro. Like, super creepy. Like, the build, the long hair, the smile, the face is giving, like, I don't know, bro. It was just creepy to me. And I don't see too many people talk about this movie in general or talk about this story. Even the Scarecrow story was creepy. Harold the Scarecrow, I want to say what was his name. But yeah, this had to be the scariest one. Like, dude, she was right behind him and he turned around. She was in his face. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, boy. I would have hit the ground. Like, do you not know? And then she's like real live walking slow. Like she's like dang near just scooting. And then she ends up being in his face. And then guess what, y'all? Gives him one big hug. And he like melts into her type of stuff. I don't know, bruh. But y'all, if y'all seen this scene, y'all know what I'm talking about. I won't even call it like scary. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking. It's scary. But it's more on the unsettling side, bruh. Man, if y'all haven't seen Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, bruh, watch it. I'm telling you. This is crazy. And it got that Halloween feel to it.
Something was wrong. Next time somebody stops you on the street to ask you what time it is, they just might not be alive. There was a man named John Sullivan who one morning found himself walking along the street downtown. He didn't know what he was doing there. He didn't even know what time it was or how he had gotten there. He saw a woman walking towards him, stopped her and asked, "I'm afraid I forgot my watch. Would you mind telling me what time it is?" When the woman looked at him, she screamed. He began to notice that other people were afraid of him as well. When passerbys looked at him, they either screamed and ran or cowered away from him. John Sullivan thought to himself, there must be something wrong with me. I really need to get home. He tried hailing a taxi, but when the cab driver took one look at him, he sped off. He found a payphone and called his wife. Only another voice answered, a voice that he didn't recognize. He said, "Is Mrs. Sullivan there?" They said, "No, she's at a funeral. Mr. Sullivan was killed yesterday downtown."
This is the notoriously haunted Old City Jail in Charleston, South Carolina. Operating from 1802 to 1939, it was built on a mass grave and had no running water or electricity. The most active ghost said to haunt the jail is that of Lavinia Fisher, who along with her husband John were executed for poisoning their hotel guests. Her ghost is seen wearing the wedding dress she wore to the gallows. The tour guide received several EVPs on our tour, and this little girl got so scared she had to exit the building. Are you brave enough to visit the Old City Jail?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and behind me, you'll see the haunted house of Magnolia Plantations. The Magnolia Plantation is a well-known haunted location. There were a lot of slaves that were abused and unfortunately died here, and they're said to still haunt the grounds today. There are disembodied voices that can be heard throughout the Magnolia Plantation house, along with apparitions that people have seen float by. Motion cameras spread throughout the plantation's grounds go off without any apparent reason. Maybe it's the ghosts making their presence known. It's believed that the slaves practiced voodoo, and they would put well-deserved evil curses on their masters. While visiting the slaves' cabins, some people have heard chanting and tapping noises as if the ritual was taking place then and there. Overall, like any plantation here in the South, the Magnolia Plantation has a history of darkness, and hopefully sometime, any spirits that remain here will be able to find the light.
What if I told you that one of the most beautiful cities in South Carolina actually hides one of the darkest prisons in America? The Old Charleston Jail was built in 1802 and was once used to house pirates, Civil War prisoners, and some of the most dangerous criminals of the area. Over 300 people were executed at the Old Charleston Jail, and many more perished due to overcrowding and disease-ridden cells. One of the most infamous prisoners ever held at the Old Charleston Jail was Lavinia Fisher. She is believed to be America's first female unaliver. Visitors today report hearing screams echoing through the empty corridors, seeing shadow figures in cells, and sudden cold spots. Some visitors claim that they've even seen Lavinia herself wandering the halls, still dressed in white. Would you dare to explore the old Charleston jail at night? Y'all let me know, because I'm in South Carolina and I will meet you there.
Charleston's oldest church building holds a tragic wedding story and the ghost who never left. Harriet Mackey was only 11 when she was promised in an arranged marriage. She begged to escape it, but her father insisted. On his deathbed, Harriet's father finally gave in and gave her a choice. That if she found a husband within 30 days after his death, that she could marry him instead and inherit the family fortune. She found a childhood acquaintance to marry. She was happy, she was healthy. And on her wedding day in 1804, her and her bridesmaids toasted with champagne. Soon after, she complained about not feeling well. They figured she was just having wedding day jitters. Then she stepped onto the aisle. A little ways in, blood started to drip from her eyes, ears, and mouth. She suddenly collapsed, and in moments, she was dead. People started to whisper that she was poisoned. Buried here at St. Michael's, Harriet Mackey did not rest. Her ghost still wanders the church and graveyard. At times she appears at the altar, other times she interrupts weddings. Guests claim Harriet trips brides mid-ceremony, warning of bad unions. And if she senses danger, she shows herself directly to the bride. Two centuries later, Charleston's ghost bride still walks the aisle.
Is this Charleston's most tragic ghost story? In 1804, 17-year-old Harriet Mackey collapsed inside St. Michael's Church just moments before her wedding. Her face turned bright red, she couldn't breathe, and then she died. Harriet was about to inherit a massive fortune from the death of her father, but his will contained a clause. If she died unmarried, the estate would go to the sons of Captain William Alston, Harriet's guardian. Her fiancé, William Rose, was accused of poisoning her. He was executed, but many believe he was innocent and that Captain Alston or his sons were behind it. After her death, people reported seeing a woman wandering in a wedding dress in the graveyard, or sometimes locked inside the church, as if waiting for something. Do you think she's still waiting for her fiancé or her killer? Follow for more haunted history, and to learn more about Charleston, book the Ghost of Liberty tour at the link in our bio.
Back again with another real ghost caught on camera. This picture was posted on Reddit. She was moving into a new apartment in downtown Charleston, South Carolina. Her dog jumped up on a chair and she thought, oh my God, that's so cute. I want to take a picture. So she takes a picture of the dog and doesn't think about it again. A couple months pass and she's looking through her camera roll and she stumbles upon this picture. But this time she notices something in the background. Ew. Yeah, this lady apparently just made herself known for whatever reason. So apparently when this picture was taken, this woman was home alone and her doors and windows were all locked and she doesn't know who the hell this lady is and how she got there. But it's terrifying nonetheless. If you have any weird photos that you would like to share, send them to the email in my bio and like and follow for more stuff like this. Okay, bye.
Under the beauty of White Point Garden, Charleston once staged a nightmare. In 1718, the city captured nearly 50 pirates after Blackbeard's blockade. They were held at Half Moon Battery just down the street until Charleston decided their fate. One by one, they were marched here to White Point Garden. Among them, Stede Bonnet, the gentleman pirate, who was once an ally of Blackbeard. Stede Bonnet, along with 29 of his crewmen and 19 other pirates, were all hanged here as a warning, their bodies swaying in the trees as they rotted, after they were cut down and thrown in the marshes next to the area to lay rest for all eternity. But Charleston's warning became its curse. Visitors report seeing shadowy figures swaying from the branches of trees, that they hear rope tightening in the night, that they see faces peering back from trees, and they even feel icy gusts that vanish as quickly as they come. By day, White Point Garden is one of Charleston's most peaceful parks, but by night, it belongs to the restless dead.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
Hidden in Charleston lies a Unitarian church graveyard, founded in 1772. It is the oldest Unitarian church in the South, and one of the most hauntingly beautiful places in all of the Holy City. Unlike most cemeteries, this one is left untamed, with moss and ivy to grow freely. It is a reminder that nature always writes the final chapter. But above the centuries-old stones lies one story above the rest, a story about love, loss, and legend. They say this is where Edgar Allan Poe's inspiration for Annabel Lee rests, the woman he loved, her life cut short, and a poet's grief immortalized in verse. They say she still lingers here, a spectral figure in white, wandering through the graves, looking for the man who promised to love her in this life and the next. In this resting place of shadows, time stands still, but love never truly dies.
Barely 15 minutes into the tour guide tells us the infamous story of Lavinia, the demented innkeeper woman that trapped, robbed, and killed men. She was subsequently hung at the jail in her wedding dress and still exists as a vengeful spirit on the grounds who is known to scratch people. Ooh, spooky. That was in parentheses. As he's telling us the story, my head and neck are getting hot, and I mean burning hot. My neck starts to furiously burn/tingle, and I become so woozy I ask the tour guide to point me towards the bathroom. He looks at my neck and asks me if I had a dark red mark on my neck before the tour. Looking in the bathroom mirror, I couldn't believe what I saw. A scratch, almost the perfect size of a woman's fingernail, was raised on my neck. I had just been in the bathroom before the tour, and this was a very clear, very distinctive mark that was not there before. The tour guide took a picture and even said that it was the most prominent one he has seen. I'm also very pale, though. I feel that, girl. The craziest part was the mark just kept getting hotter, redder, and increasingly more painful as the tour went on.
So, I am in Charleston, South Carolina, getting ready to go on the late night death and depravity tour to learn about all of the ghosts of Charleston. And when I tell you the setting is perfect, check this out. It is so spooky tonight. Oh my goodness. This is the Joe Riley Waterfront Park. That's the fountain where we're going to be meeting in a little bit. Look at this creepy statue. It's so... All of these benches just sitting facing each other. I am so excited to go on this tour. It's gonna be so spooky. And it's a full moon. Should I walk down this pier that I can't see where I'm going? Maybe. There's this weird pile of palm fronds just laying here. Weird. Oh my god, this is like something out of a horror movie. Scary doggy.